here. Hello and welcome back to Blockchain Insider. I'm Simon Taylor and I'm joined by my amazing co-host, the one and only Cuy Sheffield, head of crypto at Visa. How are you doing today, Cuy?
I am doing fantastic and excited for this episode. Two of my favorite people in the crypto and NFT ecosystem. It's going to be fun.
Oh my goodness, we couldn't have timed this one any better. As you mentioned, we are talking about NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. And well, on the news show that was last week, we covered this company you might have heard of that bought a CryptoPunk, which is an NFT. What was that company called, Cuy?
Visa bought a CryptoPunk.
How about that? That apparently that broke the crypto Twitter sphere. It's kind of the equivalent to the internet, or at least in my world anyway. Look, the whole space is blowing up, getting mainstream attention, and everybody from Tim Berners-Lee to Banksy to Gary Vee to Lionel Messi. There's big things happening in that sort of like celeb world coming into crypto, but also there's the whole space emerging around this and a movement that's really exciting. So to unpack this, we're going to try and get through some questions like what actually is an NFT, how do they work, and are they a toy or is there something lasting here? And to dig into this, we're joined by some incredible guests. Let's start off with Maria Shen, who's partner at Electric Capital. Welcome so much to the show, Maria. Can you tell the listeners about Electric Capital and your relationships with NFTs?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. Electric Capital is a crypto-focused VC firm based in San Francisco. In a nutshell, our thesis is that crypto will build a parallel financial stack. And NFTs in particular are assets. I think we generally view them as art, as collectibles, but that's not the whole picture. Pun intended, I guess. But NFTs are really the ownable assets that will power that stack. And for Electric, we're unique in two ways. Our investment team are also entrepreneurs. So Avichal and Curtis, who are the founders of the fund, has started and sold 4 different companies. The last one they started together and sold to Facebook. The rest of the investment team has kind of similar entrepreneurial beginnings and our founders and operators. The second way we're very unique is everyone on the investment team has an engineering background. And so we often write a lot of code in-house as well and build a lot of infrastructure. So for example, one of the things we've done is crawled almost the entirety of GitHub to figure out how many developers are working in crypto. So how many developers are working in Ethereum, how many developers are working in Bitcoin, how many developers joined in the last 4 months. And we like to aggregate that data and publish it out in a developer report every year.
The developer report is an amazing resource, and we should talk about that more. And then alongside Maria, we have Ameer SIRSU Carter, who is an artist, a designer, an entrepreneur, founder of Mint Fund, The Well. Ameer, tell the listeners about who you are and some of the projects you're working on.
Sure thing. What's going on, everyone? My name is Sirsu, or at least that's what I go by on Twitter. It's a play on my middle name, Suhaib, so I like using that. As an artist in this space, I make some really cool abstract portraiture, but one of my biggest things that I really love doing is that I'm inspired by and want to build and amplify community. So a lot of the work that I do in this space is all about community amplification, rallying around particular causes, and getting folks the looks that they need so that they can perform well in this space. Hence the Mint Fund, which is a community run by artists to help other artists onboard them into the crypto space and mint for free. Then we have The Well, which is going to be sort of the cultural index for Black culture, at least at start, until every culture has its own well. It blends both sort of like archivism, digital archaeology, and of course the idea of capturing sort of like culture from start to finish. And then the last thing that I've been working on too, which is pretty recent, is I've started a decentralized esports team called Blackhand, and we just launched that last week.
Amazing. So much that we can unpack there, but great to have you all on board. Let's get started.
Yeah, and let's take it from the top. Amir, I'm going to come to you first, actually. I'd love your definition of NFTs, and let's talk through the process a little bit as well. As an artist, what is an NFT, and what process do you go through in making one, selling one, all of that stuff? Could you unpack that for me?
Absolutely. The one thing that I love about NFTs is there are two definitions, right? I mean, there's obviously the technical, which would then take into account cryptographic hash is pushed through the blockchain. It assigns all of the metadata, so your title, your description, the actual data itself of the asset that you're creating a token under. So let's say it's a JPEG, a PNG, a TIFF file, a WAV file, a video, whatever it is, right? Packages all this stuff up, puts it onto the blockchain, and you sign it with a digital wallet, basically saying that you are the person that has made this thing, right? That's like the first part. But what I'm really more interested in what NFTs are is that they're a vehicle system. What type of story are you delivering through these assets that you can track on a public ledger? And because of this sort of like open environment in which everyone can sort of see how these things are being displayed, how these things are being played out, what can you build on top of the work that you've already put out? And so NFTs in a way become like this conversation. And most recently, we can take a look at a project called Loot, which was started by Dom Hoffman. And it's a text file, but it's like gear for adventurers. But of course, naturally, you go into their Discord and you're seeing people building mini games out of this. You're seeing people build customizable characters off of this. And it's just a simple text file that is linked on chain. And so when we think about NFTs, for me, I'm very interested in how we're delivering stories and narrative and accessibility and open participation for community members to rally around and build cool things out of. For me, that's what NFTs really do well at its most basic form.
Maria, I'm interested in your views as well. How would you build on that from a definition?
I think that was a fantastic definition. I would say NFTs are, as I mentioned in the beginning, NFTs are assets, but that almost shortchanges what NFTs could be, because they're unlike any assets we've ever seen in history. They're not like houses, they're not like music rights, although they could be, and that's what makes them very powerful. I think the first thing is the community aspect that evolves around NFTs. At the end of the day, humans are very emotional creatures, and we want the sense of belonging and we want the sense of identity. And I think NFTs give us that because often they are represented as a unique piece of art. And you see people setting the NFTs that they own as not only their profile pictures on social media, but actually tagging, their introductions alongside. They'll say, hey, I'm a co-founder, I'm a husband, I'm a father, but I'm also the owner of Punk X, Y, and Z. And it's actually really become part of an identity. And that's what enables these really, really powerful and passionate communities to form. So NFTs at its core are really, really social assets. And I think the second thing that Ameer also hit upon that, I want to give a huge thumbs up to is this social and open nature of NFTs. Every single thing that you do with an NFT, when you transfer it, when you buy it, when you sell it, when you fractionalize it, all of these actions are actually broadcast on chain. And so that's, again, unlike any asset we've seen in the past. When you buy a house or when you buy a Beanie Baby or when you buy a piece of art, that's something that's done on private, right? In private. And you can choose to broadcast that if you wish. But with NFTs, that's actually something that is public by default. And so anything you do is public within these communities, gets talked about. Bots are scraping constantly what's happening with NFTs. That gets shared around the world. And so effectively, you've created this social newsfeed around everything that's happening with NFTs. But unlike kind of this proprietary newsfeed, it's actually very participatory. So you can go in, you can make derivative products on top of that. You can extend the storytelling or the lore, the world of certain NFTs. So there are these, so I kind of go back to this concept of NFTs as social assets. I think in every single respect, it really embodies that definition.
Wow. That's going to be hard to follow. I think there's two things there. Which is one, which is art with functionality that lives after the creation. Like you created this thing and now the community can allow that thing. Like imagine if I had a painting, it couldn't have any more functionality than what it does. It's analog. But actually I create this thing that lives in this digital world and now there's all of this other functionality that the community can wrap around and people can openly wrap around. So that art with functionality is one thing. And creativity or content with community, social tokens, social goodness, that's a really powerful thread to unpack. But Kai, you and I know I think we both have that boomer, TradFi person that lives in the back of our mind that is screaming right now saying, yeah, but like, what does that actually mean? This sounds a lot like a toy. What do you say to those folks?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question. And frankly, if you've never collected an NFT before, I think it's a very logical question to have. And I know, when I went through the experience and I, said, okay, let me just figure out how to buy an NFT, you realize that, what you're purchasing is not just a JPEG, not an image. You're purchasing a direct social connection to the creator of that image. And so I remember when I bought, one of my first pieces of crypto art from this amazing artist, Letabo Huma, and she shouted me out on Twitter. And she's like, "Thank you to my amazing collector." And I was like, I felt cool. I was like, this artist knows who I am. And many other types of commerce and types of interactions, you're just one of many followers, and there's not really a way to express, your support, for that type of artist. And so, that's, I think you kind of have to go through the experience yourself, to see that, and particularly with an artist that you care about or a community that you care about.